Happy Monday. I know it's not Wellness Wednesday yet, but I did want to do a video to follow up on the cognitive behavioral therapy component video that I did. Specifically today, I want to talk about cognitive distortions. It's a huge part of the cognitive behavioral component because it really is the distortions that we often think about and often happen in our mind that are then impacting our ability to shift how we feel or what we're thinking about the situation. And so there are 10 cognitive distortions. They happen all the time. Most of the time, we don't even realize that we're doing it. And so the point of this video is to really inform you of what those are and help you begin to notice if you're doing them. So the first one is all or nothing. That's really black or white thinking. And so we often will compartmentalize things and look at things in polarities when we feel stressed or we can't really tolerate something that's going on. So that's black or white thinking, not being able to look at the gray areas. Second one is mental filter. Mental filter is picking out and paying attention to only certain types of evidence, not being able to see the full picture. Jumping to conclusions. That can either look like mind reading or fortune telling. So mind reading, like imagining what other people are thinking. Fortune telling, predicting the future, and kind of making an assumption about what you think is going to happen in the future. Obviously, we can't do that. We're not able to. Emotional reasoning. This one is my struggle. We often have a tendency to lean towards certain ones, and this one is my difficulty. Emotional reasoning is assuming that how you feel is the truth. What you think about something is the truth. Generally, it's your perception or opinion. It is not necessarily the truth. Labeling. Labeling can be anything around labeling yourself, like, oh, I'm stupid, or I don't know anything, or whatever the label might be, but labeling yourself or others. This kind of has that self-deprecating component oftentimes, like, I'm a loser, I'm messed up, I'm a bad person. So really that self-labeling and putting labels on ourselves. The next one is overgeneralization. So it's that thing when we do everything is X, Y, and Z. And so why we make that conclusion is usually there might be a singular event or a small situation that have happened to us, and then we make the assumption that now the rest of it is always going to be that way. And so that's like overgeneralization or broadening a singular situation that maybe it's just a singular situation. But we're like, oh, now things are ruined because this happened to me. And so that's that overgeneralization, or like nothing good ever happens or something like that. Disqualifying the positive. When something good happens, we might say, or the person might say something like, oh, that was an isolated situation. That's not going to happen again. Or you got a job or a raise. Instead of celebrating and acknowledging your success, being able to saying something like, that was probably a fluke, so disqualifying the positive. The next one is magnification or minimalization. Magnification is the idea of blowing things out of proportion. And so sometimes it's like something happened and then it gets blown out of proportion. Like it is not even what the situation was, but we take it to a whole other level. The alternative to that is minimalization. So something that's actually significant. This happens a lot with DV clients and patients where they'll minimize the event that occurred, where they'll say like, oh, he didn't mean to, or that was an isolated situation. So minimizing to tolerate. A lot of cognitive distortions are defenses, a way to protect ourselves. So it also happen that way. Shoulds or musts or ought tos. The next one is should. So every time we make a should statement, I should do this, they should have done that. That's a should statement, and in itself has the cognitive distortion. And so just noticing when we do that. And the last one is personalization. This is often around self-blaming, self-deprecating. It's one thing to take responsibility. It's another thing to be blaming yourself for something that might happen that may have not been completely your fault, or really you may only have been a component of it, and really being able to notice what it is that's your responsibility versus self-blaming. So I will, for you guys, post the link to these 10 cognitive distortions so you have a reference point. I think it's really helpful to be able to notice which ones we do and just begin to familiarize ourselves with it so that we maybe begin to change it. And so please check out my other video around cognitive distortions and really matched up with this to best support you in changing your thoughts. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful week.